If you found a vintage sewing machine at your local thrift store and have brought it home with you, this video is for you, just to give you some basic pointers on what you can do to get the machine back in working condition. This isn't a very formal video, and no, I did not bring home any of the sewing machines pictured here. This is the full arsenal of products that I use for my vintage sewing machine restorations. I try to keep products to a minimum as to not have any unnecessary cost. So this right here is what I use on the inside of motors to clean them up, because a lot of times they are full of just soot and dirt, and this just gets rid of that. This kerosene right here is just what I have on hand available at home. And I use it to clean all the gunk out of the inside of the sewing machines away, because a lot of vintage sewing machines are just full of grease and things like that, because people tend to use the incorrect type of grease in their sewing machine, and it just gunks it up and causes it to be all seized up, and this kerosene just eats right through it. Now, kerosene has a really strong smell, so if you have any breathing or respiratory issues, I would not suggest it. Instead, you can use denatured alcohol in its place, and it works just as well. I only use kerosene because it's cheaper for me to buy the kerosene, and I always have some on hand at home anyways. The next thing that I will go through is this. The goop is what I use to clean the outside of sewing machines, because it just gets rid of grease really easily, and I find that it doesn't cause too much damage to the exterior of a sewing machine, especially those with decals and things. If you don't have goop on hand, then you can use some regular Dawn dish soap to clean the outside of your machine. For shining the machine, I like to use this car gloss on the machine, for lack of better words, and it just shines it up real nice and makes it look real good. And then the last thing here that I have is some Mother's Mag, and I just use this on all of the chrome parts that are found on a lot of vintage sewing machines. So that is my arsenal, and I will also try to leave all this stuff linked in my blog. When I brought home my very first vintage sewing machine from a Craigslist listing, the machine ran with a weird smell. Blue sparks came from the motor, and it was very difficult to get proper speed on the machine because it would stop and go. So I thought that the motor was burned out and that I needed to replace the motor. I replaced this motor, but what I've learned later is that they don't build them like they used to. And my motor was not broken and didn't need to be replaced. The only problem with it was that the motor brushes needed to be replaced. So the overwhelming majority of vintage sewing machines are going to have these ports, like what I'm showing you right here on the back of the sewing machine. You access these, and there are motor brushes inside, just like what you find on modern day appliances from somewhere like Lowe's or Home Depot. Replace those, and you should get the motor back working properly. A lot of vintage sewing machines have the motor on the outside of the machine, so your motor as well as your motor brush ports are going to be on the outside for easy access, so that you can easily change out your motor brushes. But on other machines like this one, the motor is actually built inside of the machine. So in order to remove your motor in your motor brush ports, you would have to actually flip the machine over and unscrew it and get to the motor from underneath. That is a process, and it's something that might intimidate some beginners, but if you got a screwdriver, then it's not that much of a problem. Not a big deal. Speaking of screwdrivers, you don't want to use just any old screwdriver on your vintage sewing machine. My Singer Featherweight came with this screwdriver here, and it is a flathead that is just straight and it comes to a point. This right here actually wears down the screw heads and causes them to be unusable. Then you end up having to drill out the screw and replace it with another, and old screws are not so easy to replace in a vintage sewing machine because the standards for how screws are made today is much different than it was 50 or 60 years ago. So it's very hard to replace a screw once you have messed it up. So instead of using this kind of flat head, I like to use one that is curved like this because it puts a lot less pressure on the screw head and allows it to last much longer. So I'm going to hold both of these up side by side and let you see the difference. As you can see, the curved one is a much more gradual, it comes to a head at a much more gradual pace, which means that this will fit better inside of your screw so that it won't wear down your screw head as fast as you would on this kind like this. I'll try to leave this linked in my blog somewhere so that you can purchase one of these if you would like to. This is the screwdriver set that I pretty much use on all my sewing machine restorations. Timing problems are one of the most common problems that you'll find with vintage sewing machines. And I'm going to try to show you, I'm having difficulty with my camera focusing. I'm going to set a light right there so you guys can see. But there are 2 timing marks on your sewing machine, on most Singers anyway. There's 2 timing marks. A lot of other models don't have these marks, but you can still apply the same lesson to this. So you lower your needle down to its lowest position, and you want to see that the hook lines up with the eye of the needle. And when it's at its lowest point, those timing marks are visible down here and just barely visible. Like the lowest timing mark is right there. It's just barely visible. And that's what you want in order to have proper timing. And if you don't see that, then what you'll want to do is to loosen up this screw right here and move your needle bar to make the adjustment, and then tighten it back up when you have it adjusted at the correct way. Then run your sewing machine again and see, will that work? Now, some vintage sewing machines like this one have the bobbin case built right into the sewing machine. And this silver guy here is the thing that's there. It does come out of the machine, but it's more of a built-in. And when it's like that, you're less likely to have problems, but sometimes you can have problems. And there is an adjustment screw right there for adjusting it. But to be quite honest with you, on these type machines, I have never had to make an adjustment on the bobbin case to the machine. Instead, where I find myself having to make lots of adjustments is on this other type of machine, which is the Bernina. On these types of machines, you have a bobbin case that is down in the machine like that. And those I tend to have to make more adjustments to. So this bobbin case has a screw right here. And that sometimes needs some adjustment. And I'm going to show you when it needs adjustment and how to do that. So I have now placed some thread into the bobbin case. And when I hold the bobbin case like this and jiggle it like that, some of the thread should come out of the bobbin case. But when I'm not jiggling it, none of the thread comes out. And that's exactly what we want. Now, if you hold on to this thread and the bobbin is just falling straight to the ground, you know that your screw is way too loose. But if you hold on to your thread while it's in the bobbin case and you jiggle it and nothing happens, it doesn't move at all, that means that your screw on the side of your bobbin case is too tight and you need to give it a quarter turn until you get it to move when you do like this. Now, sometimes it's not a problem with the needle bar or a problem with the bobbin case. Instead, what it is that the hook that's inside of the machine is just in the complete and total wrong timing. And for that, you really do have to take apart the whole sewing machine, at the bottom at least, and to loosen up the gear and to get it back in the correct timing. That is a lot more of an involved process. And if you are having that issue and watching my video for advice on how to repair a sewing machine, I would suggest taking it to a repair shop at that point and letting them fix it. And if you're unable to take it to a repair shop, there's tons of YouTube videos on that, but there's not the time or space for doing all of that today on this video because doing that is something that is quite involved in labor intensive. Well, folks, that's pretty much all that I have to tell you today about getting your vintage sewing machine back into working order. I hope that this video has been useful, and if you have any questions, please do leave them down in the comment section below, as I'd love to hear from you. I thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.